Homelander versus the Crap Brothers. I'm going to analyze and break down their best skills to determine who would win in a death battle, and after covering for Homelander quite a bit of times, we're going to start off with the Crap Brothers first, and figure out Homelander's best counter against them. In the Wildcrats TV series, the Crap Brothers are zoologists who works with the likes of Aviva, the biomechanical engineer responsible for inventing the iconic creature-powered suits and creature-powered disc, which allows the brothers to transform and mimic the abilities of any animals, similar to the Omnitrix from Ben 10, but just animal. Or is it? I'll explain that one later. They also have Koki, the mechanical engineer who maintains and specializes their flying turtle ship, the Tortuga. And finally, we have Jimmy, the Tortuga's pilot. Now that we're introduced to the characters, let's figure out the capabilities and limits of the creature power suits. Those that haven't seen the series, the creature power suits allows the Crap Brothers to transform into any animal they want when they choose their animals from the creature power disc. But they need to touch that animal that they're going to transform into before pressing onto their chest to activate. But there is a few exceptions. One is that the animal doesn't have to be there to activate the transformation, as long as they have at least their fur, feathers, horns, or at least enough DNA for the Crap Brothers to activate their chosen forms. But what if there are more than one type of animal? For example, the crocodile. There is the American crocodile, the saltwater, the Nile, the marsh, and the dwarf. There are so many variants of one animal. How can this one work? They did in fact show this issue with the crocodile, but it did actually work, but the transformation is much slower and buggier. Another question is that can they combine animal powers or become a hybrid, such as the speed of a cheetah mixed with the strength of a bear? Actually, yeah. The first time it was ever demonstrated was on season 1, episode 15, where an octopus was the one wearing both suits, and without a single creature power disc, transformed into the monstrous sea creature hybrid of 5 different animals. Another example of this hybrid trope was in season 6, episode 20, the Crap Brothers creature power suit malfunction, which causes them to merge together in a cat-dog fashion. But the first successful hybrid is when Martin transformed into 7 combined different animals in a Halloween special. And another question is that is it really strictly animals? So it turns out no. In season 1, episode 20, Martin was holding onto an acorn while in the form of a blue jay. But the blue jay next to Martin pressed onto his chest, which triggers the transformation and changed the creature power disc into a literal acorn, which he quickly evolves into a tree. This changes a lot. Not only they can transform into animals, but also other things. Well, in this situation, since they were fighting against Homelander, there isn't really a lot of things they can transform into other than animals, so this wouldn't be much help, but it is an interesting discovery. Another discovery I made is that the Crap Brothers don't really need a creature power disc to transform into their chosen animal. There would be times that they can transform without a disc, but the majority of the time is that they do. Now we've gone over the limits and functionality of the suits, let's figure out their best strengths and animals they can transform into. One of the strongest creature powers in the show in terms of strength is the Hercules beetle. But what if we stepped up a bit? Instead, we used the horn beetle, which can lift 1,141 times their own body weight. And if we use the Crap Brothers' weight, which they weigh around 180 to 200 pounds, makes them as strong as 228,200 pounds, or 14 tons. And for their speed is the Peregrine Falcon. They can achieve speed up to 240 miles per hour, faster than most supercars, but in season 1, episode 21, Martin was able to dodge a Peregrine Falcon as a pigeon, which their max speed is 50 miles per hour. I'm not including the 90 miles because that's a world record, and I'm going by on average, which is 5 times slower than the Falcon. And if you want to highball it when they transform into the Falcon and multiply that by 5, then that means they can reach up to speed of 1200 miles per hour or Mach 1.5, faster than the speed of sound. Another creature power they can utilize is the spider power. The Crap Brothers can produce spider silk as thick as a pencil, which they stop a plane mid-flight, going at about Mach 1.5 to 2 and weighs around 100,000 pounds. It is also 5 times stronger than solid steel and pretty much almost every strong metal pound for pound, but I could be mistaken. Homelander can laser through an airplane with ease and almost anything, but can he laser through spider silk? The answer is most likely yes, but it will take some time. But what about brute strength? Can he break through? I'm gonna leave it up to you guys. I think he would, but it's gonna be very hard, and I don't see him not using his laser to escape. What about the pistol shrimp or mantis shrimp? Can Homelander deal with that? I've seen a lot of comments saying that the Crap Brothers can solo Homelander with the pistol shrimp, while there isn't a canon episode about the pistol or mantis shrimp, but if they did have the power, let's say a mantis shrimp in human size, we could do a quick calculation by dividing one of the Crap Brothers' weight, let's say 200 pounds, and the mantis shrimp weighs around 1.5. And in total, we get 133.33 pounds. And the mantis shrimp can deliver a punch force of 1500 newtons or 337 pounds. So if we multiply those two numbers, we get 44,933 pounds of force, or 20 tons. And they can throw a punch up to 50 miles per hour. But that's all in underwater. How strong would it be if it were on land? If we're really going to highball on the mantis shrimp, then we're going to take the air density on land, which is 1.222 kilograms per cubic meter, which compared to underwater is 1000 kilogram per cubic meter. Divide the two, water over air, you get 816.32, and square root that number and you get 23.32. And then you multiply the force of the shrimp, which can deliver 337 pounds, and you get around 7,858 pounds on land. And that's just the shrimp alone without any water resistance or drag, hypothetically. So if it were human size, divided the two heights and multiply 7,858, you get around 1 million pounds of force, or 453 tons, which is way stronger than Homelander's 240,000 pounds of force when he punches through someone up close, such as Black Noir. But take this with a grain of salt, since this mantis shrimp was never featured on the series, but what if? So far, Homelander is still in the lead in terms of strength and speed. Homelander can achieve speed as high as Mach 10.2.8 to 18.2, which is 12 times faster at max speed than the Crab Brothers. Strength-wise is pretty even when we're talking about the Horn Beetle power. If you want to include the Mantis Shrimp and go off script, the Crab Brothers has a bit of a lead with the 1 million, and we're talking about 2 people, so that's double the damage. And also, we haven't even mentioned about the Crab Brothers' secret weapon, the Miniaturizer. As the name says, it can minimize pretty much anything and also enlarges anything. The Crab Brothers only uses this to minimize themselves without any equipment, and they can move just fine. There have been moments on the show where an animal steps on and turns gigantic without any issues, and obviously are much stronger, such as the bullfrog, the Hercules beetle, a raccoon, and many more. If Martin and Chris were to step onto the Miniaturizer, it's safe to say that nothing would happen and become bigger and stronger. But again, it never happened, so we're gonna have to rule this one out, unfortunately. For durability, the Crab Brothers can use the diabolical ironclad beetle. It's again another animal that never appeared in the show, but if they were to use it, the ironclad beetle can withstand a force of 39,000 times its body weight. If the Crab Brothers were to use one, they can withstand and it can endure 7.8 million pounds. But Homelander is still in the lead because he can survive nuclear bombs, as he apparently survived, according to Stillwell, if you want to take it literally. But he also escaped a powerful C4 explosion without any damage. With all this being laid out, is it still enough to take down Homelander? If I have to remain canon to the Wildcat series, I'm limiting to a lot of animals. But don't forget, we can also fuse different type of animals, like I mentioned earlier. Let's say the brothers use the strength of a horned beetle, the durability of the ironclad beetle, the speed of the peregrine falcon, and the silk strength of a spider. And that's if the suit doesn't malfunction. I'd say Homelander would have a bit of trouble, but he is still stronger and way faster. Homelander has a better resume fighting and winning against characters that survived through large explosion, such as Queen Maeve, who've endured about 70 tons of TNT face on, which is about city block level. If the Crab Brothers would face against Homelander with their canon encounters in the series, such as the Hercules beetle instead of the Horn beetle, which they can only lift 100 times their body weight, Homelander would outblitz the Crab Brothers. If I include every animal they haven't encountered yet, it would be a whole different video to go over, and I do apologize for yapping all this nonsense, only for it not to be used, but those were the hot topic animals people mention online. This is by far the most I've researched because there's literally no one talking about the Crab Brothers power scale wise. I've seen edits and conversation about the topic, but nothing beyond. It was a nice nostalgia trip watching back old episodes looking for their best feats, but what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below and help me clarify some stuff that I missed out.